All right. So we're here to talk about Superman, James Gunn's Superman movie 2025. Um, just a quick overview of the movie, what I thought about it, um, some expectations for future DC movies, and just like the status of the DCU, but mostly Superman's legacy, right? So, spoiler alert for those of you who have not watched the Superman movie. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you do. All right. So, starting out, Superman movie starts out with the like Star Wars esque intro, basically just giving you the context that in this world, in this Superman world, metahumans, which are superpowered people, have existed in this world for like 300 years. Superheroes have existed for 300 years. In the past 3 years, Superman has become a public entity and has also become like the strongest metahuman to exist thus far, right? And right after that, we see Superman crash into a bank of ice, right? Bleeding and stuff like that, beaten up, which I thought was a powerful way to start this movie. Me personally, I'm a Batman guy, but as a kid, I always felt like Superman was a little like well, not a little, super OP, right? Like super strength, super speed, super hearing, like heat vision, ice breath. It's insane. But so to start a Superman movie with him on the losing end of a battle, I thought was a brave choice, but ultimately a good one. And started off with his fall off, and then we watch him rise back to grace, right? Um, and so it starts with him all beaten, and he's calling for, he's like whistling, and then we get the intro of Crypto coming to save him. Well, pouncing on him first, jumping all over him. It's Crypto having superpowers, obviously, is hurting Superman. Uh, and then eventually drags him back to the fortress, which another thing that I loved about this movie was the introduction of the Fortress of Solitude. Absolutely perfect. I love the visuals of it, how it looked. I love the design on the inside. I love the introduction of the Superman robots, which is a callback from a Superman comic book, All Star Superman. Um, so he has like these talking robots that take care of him, and they're absolutely hilarious. So that was a good way to add like some humor into the Superman movie. Um, and they're healing him, taking care of him, and stuff like that. And we kind of get a little bit more context to this Superman's way of life and managing his superhero stuff. You know what I mean? What else? I loved his chemistry with well, let's start off with the man himself, David Cornsworth. Like David Cornsworth as Superman was absolutely perfect. Like he embodied that character. He really I loved his portrayal of Superman. I loved his portrayal of Clark Kent. I loved the distinction between the two that he made. um it felt natural. It didn't feel forced. He didn't make like Clark Kent too geeky, but just like a little clumsy, quirky dude. You know what I mean? Mild mannered kind of guy. And his Superman is just real upright and like saying it with your chest, kind of. You know what I mean? And just also like Superman that believes in the value of all life, no matter how big or small. Like he believes that all lives should be, if you have the ability to save life, then you should, which I thought that was dope. Um, I mean, the dude saves a squirrel during the movie, for God's sake. Uh, but I thought it was a really good portrayal, and a good way to differentiate this Superman from the last iteration of Superman that we got. I feel like James Gunn and David Cornsworth absolutely nailed that assignment. Um, Again, his chemistry with Lois Lane was really dope. I love that she didn't just play your typical damsel in distress. Like she actually furthered the plot by using her investigative reporter skills to find out information to help Superman and to gather resources and motivate other superheroes to kind of help Superman in the time of need, right? Which he absolutely killed. And then that too, the introduction of the other superheroes. That was one of the knocks that a lot of people had on this movie when we heard that we were getting all these characters in it. They're like, oh, like it's not really going to be Superman. I felt like it was a really good balance there. The little bit of the other characters that we did get to see was actually pretty dope in my opinion. I felt like Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner was absolutely hilarious. What an absolute like just asshat like. um, but he was funny, cool when on screen. It was awesome to see his powers at play when they were having those like fight scenes. Um, I don't know the guy's name that plays Mr. Terrific, but Mr. Terrific was ill. The guy who played him was also Darwin in the first X-Men First Class movie. And they did his character dirty in that movie. So to see his character get some shine and like redemption in this movie was awesome. Yeah, absolutely killed it as Mr. Terrific. And then the girl who plays Hawk Girl, I want to say her name is Isabella, but I'm not 100% sure. She was absolutely amazing. I loved how she played Hawk Girl, very fierce, warrior type, with absolute no regard for life. She does not care. She straight flew a dude out the window and dropped him. He was like, no, you're not going to do it. And she's like, dude, I'm not Superman. Bam. Goodbye. See you next time. Like it was dope though. Like that's the kind of Hawk Girl that I'm familiar with. So it was dope to see that portrayal of her. Also Metamorpho, the I don't know that guy's name either. I probably should do some homework. I don't know that guy's name either, but he was in Gotham as Victor Zsasz, and he's been in a couple other things too. But he's usually playing a bad guy. But this time he gets to play a good guy. He plays Metamorpho. And the way they make Metamorpho look in this movie was absolutely amazing. It was literally like the whole movie looks like it's ripped out of a comic book, to be honest. But this character in particular was like literally ripped out the comics, put right there, and it was absolutely perfect. Um, and yeah, I love that part of the movie too. It was very adventurous, very fantastical. Had its funny moments, had its inspiring moments, had its sad moments. It gave me a little bit of everything, and I just felt like it executed the representation of these characters well. I wish I could have got a little bit more out of it, but that's just me being a nerd. Also, Supergirl's cameo in this movie, absolutely great. I love the portrayal of her. They play, they're playing her like the young, cousin that's drunk all the time, not really responsible. She's probably distraught from losing her planet and everybody she knows and loves. So I think that that's a very interesting dynamic. I can't wait to see more of her dynamic with Superman, but also how that dynamic affects other heroes. Because to have a hero like Superman with also Superman's powers, but none of his morals or restraint could be very dangerous. And other heroes might have an issue with that. Other heroes that may live in Gotham. You know what I mean? That's just what I think, how I feel. That'd be a very dope way to introduce those characters. Um, Metamorpho. I talked about Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor, which was absolutely diabolical. Um, all his cloning and stuff like that, which I can't wait to see that play out in the future. What else? Am I missing anything? Um, Jimmy Olsen was cool. I loved all the Daily Planet stuff. That was cool. Um, yeah, I mean, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. It was a really good movie, a really adventurous movie. I had fun with it, and I think that's the most important part. These are movies. We're supposed to have fun with it, and I think that it did what it was supposed to do. It provided entertainment, made me feel a little bit of everything, and made me excited for the potential of the future of this universe. You know, it even made me go back and watch some older Superman stuff. So I started watching Smallville. I'm probably going to do a full series review for that. And people just opening the door. Next step of this after the Superman movie is Peacemaker season 2. So I'm gonna rewatch Peacemaker season 1, do a review for that, and then I'll probably do an episode to episode review for Peacemaker season 2. So stay tuned for that. We'll have more content coming soon. All right.